Hello to the vaping community and YouTube. This is the Salty Vapor, Chris Jordan, welcoming you to another vlog. Today is Tuesday, March the 31st, 2015. We got a lot of issues to deal with, so we'll kind of jump right into it. First, I'd like to welcome any and all new subscribers to the channel. I hope I provide some good information for you. And to that end, please let me know how I can best do that. If how I can provide the best reviews possible, things you're interested in learning about, products you're interested in, and so on. For the time being, I kind of just am plowing through products that I already have, things that are somewhat popular out there, things that a lot of folks might be considering to buy. Again, though, please feel free to leave comments, email me, whatever you need to do, and however we need to proceed so I can provide the best information and get the best product out to you here on YouTube. What I'm vaping on tonight probably is a good place to start. I am vaping on my Sigelli 100 Watt Plus with the weird swooshes that no one likes and that I don't particularly care for either. But I do like the device in general. Haven't had the button issues that Grim Green had with his. Mine's been fine. It doesn't stick. And what I've got on top of it is potentially controversial, but it is a clone of the Kennedy atomizer, and you can sort of see it's a very light engraving, one of the crappier engravings I've ever seen, but it vapes fantastically. And I'm not sure how even faithful of a clone it is. I mean, it has bottom airflow, but from the videos that I've seen, and it's hard to tell with this because I've got it all cottoned up and everything, but the airflow holes on this are not like little tubes that come up. They're sort of milled into the deck, and so that seems different from the pictures and videos of the Kennedy that I've seen on YouTube. And I'm not sure that the new competition Kennedys have a wide bore, I believe, metal milled drip top cap. This one has a plastic one, and I'm pretty sure the original Kennedy had just a normal 510 connection, or 510 drip tip connection. This one does not. This one is again a clone. It's a 2-hole type. So anyway, I'm sort of rambling here about this clone, which I'll talk a little more about later in the vlog. But I've been impressed with it so far, and so I'm vaping that with some of the Epiclouds Mom's Pineapple Cake, and also switching out with some Animal Carnage. I've also got my Hexome V2 here, topped with the, of course, the Sub-Tank Mini, and I've got Animal Looper in this one. I don't have the bottle with me, but trust me, I have Animal Looper. I've gone through several bottles of that now, just the Grady liquid. I am enjoying, as per usual, a lovely Pepsi Max. Not too fancy, not too pretentious, but just my thing. Another thing that I didn't cover in my first vlog that I probably should have, would have made more sense, is my kind of personal vaping story, my vaping history. I think it's something that I should probably address at some point. And what better place than a vlog to do that? Certainly a review wouldn't be a good place to get into that, because I think some people might be disappointed. But it'll be short and painless, hopefully. But my personal vaping story, I started vaping. Well, I started vaping on and off a couple of years ago with Joytech Ego C, I believe. It was definitely a Joytech product, and it was definitely the one with the little, I don't even have it anymore, but it was the one with the little tanks, the little translucent blue and clear tanks. So I started with that. I sort of just used that as a tool for when I couldn't smoke. And so I started vaping more seriously about last May 2014. Stopped smoking around July 15th, 2014, and haven't looked back. Of course, I've kind of made a little journey here in what I vape. When I started off vaping, I vaped menthol almost exclusively, and I used the Nautilus, a regular Nautilus with the horizontal coils, and it was just great. Compared to the Joytech Ego C, it just seemed brilliant, and I had that on top of a Coolfire 1 to begin with, and which quickly broke, and I moved on to a Vamo, which did not break. Lasted me a good long while. Ended up vaping it forward to someone. So, and I've kind of since then, I've gradually moved into dripping and sub-ohm clear misers. I still keep the old silo tank, and I've got it on my Vaper Shark RDNA 30 for old time's sake, and for occasionally when I want a little bit higher nicotine, I've got the Mountain Oak Vapors Coolberry 9 milligram in there, but for the most part, I vape 6 milligram. When I'm out and about, I tend to use these sub-ohm tanks and I tend to use my Hexohm V2 when I'm out and about. When I'm at home, I kind of go back and forth between, my Hexohm with a tank on it and what I've been vaping throughout the day. But for the most part, I do drip when I'm at home, and I use a variety. The Troll Atomizer has been one of my favorites. I keep sort of going back to it, but I'll tell you, this Kennedy clone, it's a thing. It's got some. I think it's got some staying power. I just love the airflow, love the flavor. Again, we'll talk more about that. I'm getting back on my love for this Kennedy clone again. But that's pretty much my vaping story. I kind of live in a part of the country where there's not a lot of vape shops. Our local shop is really geared towards beginners. Before I forget, my dog is joining us for the vlog tonight. My dog Smokey, and he has some mixed feelings about that. Now that he's committed himself to being in the room, so if he starts whining or anything too bad, I may have to let him out. He probably will not join us on camera because he's stubborn and doesn't like to do things that I tell him to do. But nevertheless, you'll probably hear him scuffling around in the background. Oh yeah, since my first vlog, which most of you probably haven't seen, I've cleaned things up a bit. I've got a background here to use for my videos, so it's not the chaos of the room behind me. it kind of looks like I'm in a radio booth now, which I actually kind of like. I like the whole radio aesthetic we've got going here. Um, um, and that's so again, that's pretty much what I've got going here. And I decided to do these YouTubes. I sort of touched on this on the first vlog, but I really wanted to get into this just to provide information to folks in the vaping community, ranging from beginners to advanced vapors. I don't get into a lot of the really fancy coil porn type builds, or the kind of things, twisted messes. I'm impressed with what those folks do. I saw Twisted Messes making a coil with a jeweler's hammer. The fanciest I get is my 24 gauge dual coil center post builds. I used to use a screwdriver like everyone else, and then I got a Coil Master for about $20, and it's been a staple in my coil. It just makes the most perfect little micro coils and macro coils as well. So, so yeah, I'm a kind of simple, lazy builder. Nothing too fancy. But again, I try to provide information to kind of cover a range of different kinds of vapors, and as you'll see as we go along, more geared towards I would say the folks who like RDAs, but as we go along, I will definitely share information pertinent to beginners as well. And again, help me do that by providing me some comments, some questions, some things that you'd be interested in seeing. I think it's probably a good time to move into some advocacy issues. As I said at the top of the show, I am broadcasting to you from Richmond, Indiana, here in the heart of these United States. And that has a particular relevance, I think, this week, as probably a lot of you have seen in the national news. Indiana has been a focus. Doesn't happen too often. And for my money, I wish it wasn't happening now, because it's not, we're getting attention for all the wrong reasons. And I don't normally, and I don't intend normally to get into general politics, but here I think it's appropriate that in the same week that that our Indiana legislators are trying to regulate the living hell out of the vaping industry, they're also passing legislation to discriminate against various individuals who may have conflict with religious groups in the state. So totally unconstitutional, in my opinion, and they're already backing down on it and looking at revising the law to make sure that no one is discriminated against. But essentially, whether it's vaping related or whether it's general legislating, Indiana lawmakers have lost their minds, and are making our state look foolish in the process. Prior to that, this little episode of national shame, our governor and the legislature and the state board of education really botched the whole iStep situation and made us look foolish a few weeks ago. This is not the Indiana that I know and love. There a lot of very smart, non-backwards people in this state, and it just certainly we're not getting portrayed that way in the national media, and a lot of it's due to the people that we entrusted our government to, and not working out so well. And so back to specifically vaping related stuff. One of the major calls to action on CASA for the last little bit has been for Indiana, because they're trying to pass legislation that would, in CASA's words, essentially gut the vaping industry in Indiana. And in, according to HoosierVapers.com, that's Vapers, Vapers, not Vapers as in ORS, but HoosierVapers.org. Like according to them, like the legislation would close over 100 shops across the state, which in my mind would be pretty much every shop in the state, and put over 1,000 people out of work. So these are the things that are that our fine folks in government are trying to accomplish in this legislative session. But again, Indiana has been on CASA's primary list of calls to action due to this pending legislation. And Hoosier Vapers is an organization in the state. Their kind of purpose is to rally Hoosier Vapers and provide a way to organize things. And they have been holding rallies at the State House, and they have done some good. Last week, they had several rallies, and House Bill 1432, which was headed towards the House floor, has now been pulled back to a second reading in the Senate so that it can be amended. And Hoosier Vapor says, show up and let the senators know it must be amended. And what they're asking folks to do is come to rallies this week. Unfortunately, 2 of those rallies were prior to this video. So, but there is one more on Thursday, April 2nd at 1:30 p.m. And this will be in the Capitol building. So at the State House, it says all vapors rally at the State House Thursday, April 2nd, starting at 1:30 p.m. In the rotunda, just past the security check-in, and come prepared to stay all day. So it looks like the organization, and I would have loved to have gone to one of these rallies. Unfortunately, I have a day job, which keeps me pretty busy and requires my attention. But I may yet go to the Thursday one. I'm considering it. I'm considering taking some of my precious PTO and going, but it's But if I have been doing the CASA calls to the senators in emails, so and that's something that if you can't make it to the rally, get on CASA. That's CASAA.org. Go to your local alerts page and take action. It'll do a nice template for your email. It'll give you the phone numbers for your representatives, your local representatives. CASA is just awesome in that way. That's why I put them their web address at the end of every single one of my videos. They and the vaping militia, they do great work. And CASA just has an impressive web presence. Very helpful, makes it very possible for every vapor out there to get involved in one way or another. We've had some success in Indiana with pushing back some of this legislation, but the fight is nowhere near over. This is going back for amendment. Um, are you getting tired, Poppers? He's getting restless and making some noise in the background there. So, come here. Come here, Popper dog. Come here. Yeah, sugar boys. Maybe he will sort of join us on. There he is. Yes. Yes, he did join us on camera. We're very good boys. He's probably going to wreak havoc with my nice, neat setup here on my desk, but nevertheless, what a wonderful dog. That's the way I talk to him, by the way. That's the dog voice I use. Anyway, so yeah, you know, we've had some success with pushing back, but the fight's nowhere near over. These bills are still an enormous, enormous threat. They're heading back to the amendment process, but the representatives still need to hear from Hoosier Vapors to let them know how these bills need to be amended, what needs to be totally done. It would be swell to dump the entire piece of legislation and start over from scratch. You're never going to hear me, and you're never going to hear most vapors say anything about restricting sales to minors. I am 100% in favor of restricting sales to minors, for finding vape shops that sell to minors, whatever needs to be done in that regard. In my mind, vaping is there for people who actively smoke, who are trying to quit smoking, and who want to reduce the harm that traditional combustible cigarettes cause and still get their nicotine. So, nevertheless, legislation that was geared at common sense things like that, I'd be all on board with. Even reasonable taxation rates. I'm not an unreasonable person. I don't think most vapors are unreasonable. A 92% tax, a 99% tax, a 76% tax is not reasonable. Not reasonable at all, and it would put the cost of e-liquids far out of reach for most people. And the kind of twisted mathematical logic that they're using to come up with some of these taxes is absolutely ridiculous. They're saying that, like, a 10 ml bottle of e-liquid is equivalent to 15 packs of cigarettes. I have, since Sunday, and this isn't a terrible, gross amount of vaping or anything that I'm doing, I've used over half of a 30 ml bottle of this animal carnage since Sunday. Dripping at home. I've got some in a tank, and so that's 15 mils. So by that logic, I would have smoked around 23 packs of cigarettes, just in this one bottle. And I've used other liquids. I've probably used the most of that liquid the last few days, but I've used quantities of other liquids. And so we're talking, by these equations, I would have smoked, 30, 40 packs of cigarettes since Sunday. It's not right. And the kind of justification that's being used to justify these taxation rates are ridiculous. So, again, restricting sales to minors, reasonable taxation, etc., I think most folks would be at least okay with. But the totally unreasonable proposals that have been thrown out by a lot of states, they're going to kill the vaping industry. They're going to force people back to smoking, which unfortunately I think is what a lot of politicians want. in plain English. As much as they give lip service to the idea that they don't want people smoking, they depend on tax revenues from tobacco sales. They depend on massive campaign donations from big tobacco and big pharmaceutical companies. And so this is the reality we're dealing with. And thinking about some of those issues, I think it's time we sort of reassess some of our commonly held assumptions, that namely that Democrats are the natural enemy of vapors and Republicans are the natural ally. I think it's probably much more likely that both Republicans and Democrats are the natural enemy of vaping for different reasons. But there is hope, and I'll get to this in a little bit. But, if we look at the evidence on the ground, we see in some of the reddest of red states ridiculous vaping legislation. Here in Indiana, with Governor Mike Pence, his administration is largely responsible for introducing this legislation. He was a candidate who was backed by the Tea Party, very conservative, very libertarian in his campaign language. Since he's become governor, that has not particularly been the case. We also, because money drives all of this stuff, all this political machinery is fed by money. Same thing over in Ohio with Governor John Kasich, who was originally thought to be an ally of vaping. Turned out not to be the case. He's introduced some equally ridiculous legislation. We see things happening in Alaska, in Texas, in Arkansas, in Alabama. These are some of the reddest of red states, and Democrats at the federal level, at the national level, they're making a mistake, but I think there are a lot of prominent Democrats at the national level who have come out against vaping, and I think they're doing so to their peril. I think there are a lot of voters out there like myself who are quickly becoming single issue voters. I think they're going to lose votes, and I think that they might want to reassess some of the positions they're taking. That is national Democratic leaders, but at the same time, we've seen the White House actually come out and ask the FDA to take another look at some legislation or some of their regulations, their first try, and because they were too draconian, and so it's not quite so cut and dry, I think, as a lot of folks presume. And of course, again, we see these Republican governors, Republican state legislators doing some pretty nasty things to the vaping world. And the question of why are there differences? I don't see, and one of the big reasons I don't trust either party to be a natural ally of vaping is because on one hand you have the Republican Party, who have traditionally had incredibly strong ties to big tobacco and big pharma, and you have the Democratic Party, who also honestly has some ties in big tobacco and big pharma, but who've just who've traditionally been anti-tobacco in the last 20 years, 20 plus years, and they see vaping as a natural extension of that. Again, totally wrong. Totally, they're totally reading the situation wrong, and could really make some inroads by changing their strategy here. But the natural enemies of vaping is big tobacco and big pharma. They're so if and people who us vapors, we see it as harm reduction. We see it as a way to eventually replace combustible tobacco products. So nevertheless, I think that at best what we can build is sort of a coalition of folks from both parties who are sensitive to the rights of vapors, and who can we can win over with science and with information and with voting and with boots on the ground. If we're going to get anywhere with this, it's not going to be by being silent. We have to get out. We have to show our incredibly strong opposition to the various pieces of legislation that threaten vaping, and we're going to have to do so loudly. I've heard Matt from Suck My Mod talk about this. I am totally on board with that idea. I think that vapors have to, at this point, because we are, let's face it, we're a severe minority in terms of the voting public in general. But if we become a very noisy minority and someone in a group that will actually put boots on the ground to get folks out to vote against candidates who don't support vaping, if we can organize, if we can make some noise, we can do some good. And that's really going to be our best hope. And again, I think building a coalition of folks from both parties who are going to be willing to, and maybe it will always be, a majority of Republicans who oppose vaping laws, and a majority of Democrats who support vaping laws. I hope that's not the case, for the sake of both, for all parties involved. But I hope that both parties will turn around and see the light in terms of vaping. But nevertheless, some of these commonly held assumptions I see getting turned over, especially at the state level. Looking at some specific calls to action, there are just a lot of places where states are trying to pass legislation to treat vaping like tobacco, and ban vaping where smoking is banned. And while I am supportive for the most part of the idea at this point of not vaping indoors, or vaping in publicly indoors at restaurants, at Walmart, at Meijer, at just our devices are putting out so much vapor, albeit relatively harmless vapor. It's going to just in terms of PR, if we attempt to vape in public places indoors, it's going to look, it's going to do more harm than good. So I've abandoned when I used to use the the Nautilus and with PG heavy juice and things. I did at some places I knew were okay with it. I did vape indoors. Now I've just pretty much totally abandoned it. But nevertheless, the problem with this isn't, we're not going to be able to sub them at Walmart. The problem is that as states, and you have to get inside the mind of politicians and of folks in the legal industry. Once you start classifying vaping in the same legal language as tobacco, then it's a slippery slope to let's tax vaping products the same as tobacco products. Let's restrict access even further to vaping products. Let's make laws in the workplace about people vaping outside of work and things like that. It's just again a very slippery slope. States that are trying to pass laws that equate vaping with tobacco use are on the wrong track, and we need to oppose it. If nothing else, simply for that. And then there are some states like Indiana, like Pennsylvania, like Alabama, like Vermont, that are being much more aggressive in their legislation, be it use or taxation type legislation, and the need is real to again, I don't want to repeat myself, but the need is real to get boots on the ground, to get people on the phone, to get people on the computer, emailing, calling, protesting in the state legislatures to really get noticed, so these legislators will realize the kind of harm they're going to be doing and the kind of force that they're going to be up against if they move forward with some of these things. And that is key. Again, I'm echoing what a lot of other reviewers have said. On the other hand, there have been some folks in the vaping community who have advocated, just the backroom stuff, the AstroTurf type of movement, and there's a place for that, a very, very important place. That's where a lot of the work will be done, but there's a place for the grassroots also. And again, in most every successful movement, in most every successful political movement or political action, there's an element of backroom AstroTurf lobbying efforts and such, and there's a place for the grassroots. Also, one final advocacy thing, and I know we spent a lot of time on advocacy here, is this FDA workshop comment period. If you have vaping related information, mostly sciencey related information, websites, organizations that you want to share with the FDA, again, get on CASA's website, casa.org, CASAA.org. That address will be at the end of this video and in the description of this video. But get on the CASA website and see what you need to do to get your comments in for this FDA workshop comment period. Very important. It's very important that we keep our eye on things at the state level. It's perhaps even more important that we keep our eyes on what the feds are going to do to us, because they're going to do it to us all at once, and not on a piecemeal state-by-state basis. So the more that we can do to delay FDA action until cooler heads will prevail, the better off the vaping community will be. So get out there, do your part. As I say at the end of these videos, vapors of the world, unite and protect your rights. It's more important now than ever. These things are just coming at us left and right, and we need to be aware. Next on the agenda, as I get my vlog notes out here, I have some initial thoughts on some new products that I've tried. I think that y'all will be interested in hearing about. Wrong pipe. First off is this brilliant little atomizer. Ooh, that was Doggy's head on the desk there. This isn't good. You gotta watch your big head. But he says hello again. But anyway, this is just a brilliant little atomizer, and I have no idea what company it even is. I'm going to do a review on it eventually, and so, like, if anyone can look at this box here, and from the box tell me what company makes this product, I would be very interested. It has a picture of a human head and some squiggly lines of sorts there. I have no idea, but yeah, just says RDA atomizer, and it's kind of design wise. Again, if they were going for an accurate one-to-one clone of the Kennedy atomizer, they didn't do a very great job, because I don't think a lot of these design features were even part of any of the various versions of the Kennedy atomizer. That said, it works brilliantly, and it makes me, and this is another reason, possibly the makers of authentic RDAs and mods like shouldn't hate the clone market quite so much. It is because it really makes me want to get an authentic Kennedy, because I assume if this clone is so good that the original will be even that much better. So I'm kind of really wanting to get an authentic Kennedy now, and they're expensive, so don't tell my wife. I just love that the bottom airflow. Love the vapor production. I love that you can put the top cap on any which way you please, and don't have to line any air holes. See, there's no air holes. You just kind of stick it on there. And I like the Delrin cap on it even. I mean, whatever company this is, no words anywhere on the packaging, inside or out, tell me who makes this, but whatever company makes this atomizer could have left that Kennedy engraving off, put something else on there, put their company name on there, for example, or just some random atomizer name, and they could have called this an original atomizer, because it differs so much from the Kennedys that I think it's a rather original design, and it works fantastically, for roughly $30 or whatever I paid for it at a local. That's at a local brick and mortar. These are, I'm sure, available online, and before my review I'll look into this, see if I can figure out the brand, see where they're available online. But again, I'm sure they can be had for much less than that online. But just a great little atomizer. And again, makes me really want to get my hands on an authentic Kennedy. I've also been using this Atlantis, which is equipped with the 5 mil. I think it's 5 mil. No, I'm second guessing myself. Maybe it's 4.5 mil. The extension tank for the Atlantis, nevertheless. Let's see. I purchased this on myvaperstore.com, which is again a great resource for vaping. It's made by Aspire. It is, yeah, it's 5 mils. I was right to begin with. It's a 5 mil tank. On my Vaper Store, it is $9.98. I'm thinking I paid more than that, like $13.99 or something. So I think the price is coming down. My Vaper Store has been great. Again, totally unsolicited, but they've been great with getting things to me fast, and without any hassle. Their shipping costs are relatively reasonable. And a lot of places are not. But the again, I've been using it sort of breathed new life into the Atlantis for me. I got the Atlantis, loved it at first, used it like crazy. Then the sub-tank minis came out, and I got into using those. Those also have great flavor, and I kind of got away from the Atlantis. But lately, both this extension tank and these, see the tag says cotton, these cotton coils, BVC Atlantis Atlantis coils, between those two things, like, I've really gotten back into using the Atlantis. Right now I have my Animal Carnage in here, and I've been vaping that like crazy. So you Atlantis users, and these coils are available on, the only place I could find them was kidneypuncher.com. That was a couple weeks ago when I bought those, so they may be more widely available now. And I believe Aspire is going to an all organic cotton replacement coils for the Atlantis. But again, between those two things, that larger tank, so I don't have to refill my Atlantis, 10 times a day, between that's probably an exaggeration, but several times a day, so I can kind of vape on that for most of the day, that 5 mil tank, or at least a lot of my working day, when I'm out and about. That and the organic cotton coils, which I think they provide a little bit better flavor, and possibly even a little more longevity, but I wouldn't swear to that. But anyway, they just seem better to me. Maybe it's just because cotton seems safer than ceramic material or whatever the original heads were made of. But these cotton coils, and between that and the replacement extension tanks, I've been had a new little love affair with the Atlantis. So Atlantis users, check out those items. I think you'll be impressed. My dog's on the move again. He must be going back to visit the tortoise and the chinchilla. I'll have to get them and bring them into the next vlog. But anyway, we've got the baseball season coming up here. My Cincinnati Reds, with my old battered Reds hat here. The baseball season coming up next week. I am really looking forward to the season beginning. I'm not sure how hopeful I am. The Reds have, Not done a whole lot to upgrade. We're us fans are depending on kind of a Smokey, leave Pupples alone. Get up here now. Move it. He was bothering the chinchilla. Sorry, my apologies for that little interlude. But back to baseball. The Reds are kind of worrying me this year. I think it might not be a very stellar season for them, but we will certainly see. And I'll probably talk about some personal stuff, interest, baseball, and such, and during these vlogs, as well as having my pets visit, and that'll liven things up. Because let's be honest, no, I was gonna say we can get too much of vaping, but we can't. We cannot get too much of vaping. Information, reviews, news. We can never have too much vaping. So I almost caught myself making a very bad statement there, but I pulled it back just in time. So I will try to put links to all the various organizations and things that I mentioned in the video today. If I miss one, let me know. If you like these, please subscribe. If you don't like them, don't subscribe. But I appreciate any feedback that I can get, anything I can do better, anything that I'm doing wrong. Please let me know. Smokey might not join us next week because he's kind of wreaking havoc here at the end of the vlog. But thanks for joining me. I will see you very, very shortly in a review. I'm going to be doing a review of a clone of the Marquee atomizer, and more reviews will follow. But thanks for joining us, and if nothing else, maybe join us next week for the vlog. Thanks again, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.